Hello, everyone. It's a real pleasure to be here at the SEIU headquarters in Richmond Hill with Charlene Stewart, the president of the SEIU. It was an opportunity for me to sit down with extraordinary personal support workers and hear their stories. We all know how important personal support workers are to our healthcare system, to our care system. They were there for the most vulnerable during the pandemic. They continue to be there through extremely difficult times. The challenges they're facing is stretching them and burning them out, and we need to do a better job of stepping up as governments to make sure that we're giving them the support and respect that they need. That's why we've put forward $1.7 billion towards raising their minimum rates to $25 an hour, which is pretty much the bare minimum that they're going to be able to continue doing their job in. But we also need to make sure we're improving their working conditions. That's why we put out a study last month on minimal conditions in long-term homes across the country, because we know that working conditions dictate conditions of care. And how we support the personal support workers who do this incredible work right across the country really matters. We also need to do better around retention and looking for retirement benefits for them as well. These are things that the federal government will be there for, but we will also be working on with the provinces. And I'd actually take a moment to encourage all politicians at all different orders of government to take time to sit down with personal support workers like I got to today, to hear the stories, to hear directly how much they care about the people they serve. And about the grandparents of all of us that they take care of in situations that are extremely precarious and not there for them. J'ai pu passer un peu de temps aujourd'hui à Richmond Hill avec des préposés aux bénéficiaires pour voir à quel point ils sont là pour servir les plus vulnérables dans notre société. On sait à quel point la pandémie a été difficile, mais que ça continue à être difficile pour nos travailleurs de première ligne. J'ai pu entendre directement les défis auxquels ils font face. C'est pour ça qu'on a mis de l'avant 1,7 milliard de dollars pour aider à augmenter leur paye minimum jusqu'à 25 dollars par heure. On va aussi travailler sur les conditions de travail et les opportunités qu'ils auront pour la retraite. Mais nous avons besoin de travailler avec les provinces là-dessus. Alors j'encourage tous les premiers ministres, tous les différents politiciens de différents niveaux de s'asseoir avec des préposés aux bénéficiaires pour comprendre à quel point ils font face à de vrais défis. Over the past weeks, we've been talking a lot about healthcare because 2 weeks ago we put forward a plan for $198 billion of investment over the next 10 years in healthcare systems across this country, with a focus on making sure that we deliver altogether real results for Canadians in a public, universal healthcare system. These are things that really matter to Canadians. Canadians take pride in our healthcare systems, but they also know they're not hitting the level that Canadians should and could expect from their systems. That's why the 4 areas that we're focused on investments with the provinces and improvements of the provinces are access to primary care doctors. Canadians need access to primary care doctors to make sure they're having the right entry into our healthcare system, getting the primary support they need. That'll make huge changes and improvements in our system and the results for Canadians. We also need to do a better job of supporting and retaining and properly being there for the people who work in our healthcare systems. We need to do better around licensing and credential recognition. We need to do better around working conditions and support for people who are taking care of all of us at all levels within our healthcare systems. We need to do more, thirdly, on mental health, because we know that mental health is health. A number of years ago, we invested $5 billion over 10 years to the provinces on healthcare. We've continued to step up with investments around healthcare, but we know as well that healthcare must be woven through the rest of the healthcare system. Mental health must be woven through the rest of the healthcare system because it affects everything from the workers to the patients to everyone who is supporting people going through difficult procedures. Finally, we're there for better data and better information collection. Canadians need to be able to have confidence that their medical files are complete and accessible by the specialists or emergency room doctors they see. And we need to make sure that we're seeing clearly the results right across the country that we're investing in and getting better results from our healthcare system. So there's a lot to do, but there's a lot we're going to continue to do together. And I just really want to thank the leadership at SEIU, but also those personal support workers and all healthcare workers across the country for continuing to step up to be there for Canadians, and we will do everything we can to be there for you, like you are there for our most vulnerable. On a aussi fait, une couple de semaines, des investissements, annoncé des investissements dans nos systèmes de santé pour améliorer les résultats pour les Canadiens, que ce soit au niveau de plus d'accès des médecins de famille, plus d'aide pour la santé mentale, de meilleures conditions de travail pour tout le monde qui travaille dans notre système de santé et aussi de meilleures informations et de meilleures données sur lesquelles on peut bâtir les bons résultats de nos systèmes de santé. On a encore du travail à faire, mais on est là pour être partenaire avec les provinces pour livrer de meilleurs résultats pour les Canadiens parce que c'est ça, ce dont ils ont besoin et ce qu'ils méritent. Merci beaucoup. Je suis content de prendre vos questions maintenant.
Thank you, Prime Minister. Merci, Premier Ministre. We have 10 minutes for questions from media. CBC, à vous la parole.
Good morning, Prime Minister. Simon Dingley from CBC. Good to see you again, sir. What can you do to restrict access to migrants who are trying to cross into Canada at Roxham Road?
For years, we have been focused on closing Roxham Road. The challenge is not to say, oh, we should close it. The challenge is how to close it. How to make sure that people aren't choosing to cross irregularly into Canada to protect the integrity of our immigration system, but also stay true to the values that we have. It would be unfortunate to put up barricades and close Roxham Road only for border crossings to open up elsewhere along the 6,000 or so kilometers of border that we have with the United States. The way to close Roxham Road is to renegotiate the Safe Third Country Agreement with the United States, which is something that we've been working on for many, many, many months now. We're making real progress, but until we manage to do that, we need to continue to support our immigration system. We need to make sure that the resources are there, particularly for the province of Quebec that has been stepping up significantly in accepting people fleeing for a better life, people crossing irregularly. And we will continue to be there for Quebec. We will continue to be there for our international obligations, and we will continue to be there to try and make sure that we have a safe and secure and rigorous immigration system.
Follow-up.
Je vois la même réponse en français pour Radio-Canada aussi.
Oui. Merci, Simon. Ce qu'on veut depuis plusieurs années, c'est de fermer le chemin Roxham. La question, c'est pas est-ce qu'on devrait le fermer. La question, c'est comment est-ce qu'on la ferme. Parce que mettre des barricades au chemin Roxham va tout simplement amener les gens à traverser ailleurs à travers les 6000 kilomètres de frontières qu'on a avec les États-Unis. Ce dont on a besoin, c'est de renégocier l'entente des tiers pays sûrs pour s'assurer qu'on ferme au complet toute possibilité de traversée irrégulière. Et on est en train de travailler avec ça, sur ça avec les Américains. Ça fait bien des mois, des années qu'on parle de ça et on est en train de faire du progrès. Mais d'ici là, il faut qu'on continue à être fidèle à nos valeurs et aux ententes internationales d'être accueillants pour les migrants. Mais il faut aussi qu'on continue d'être là pour les Québécois qui, en particulier, ont été extrêmement généreux pour accueillir et absorber ces individus-là qui ont traversé. On est en train d'être là pour le gouvernement du Québec. Je comprends qu'il faut qu'on en fasse davantage et on va continuer de le faire. De fermer Roxham Road, c'est ce que nous voulons tous. Mais il n'y a pas de solution simpliste là-dedans. Il faut la fermer pour que notre frontière reste intègre à travers le pays, et c'est sur cela qu'on est en train de travailler.
Sticking with Roxham for my second question, sir. This year, 70,000 migrants are expected to pass through Roxham Road, yet the refugee board's only able to handle about 25,000 per year. What's your government going to do to prevent the backlogs from getting even bigger and bigger?
We have, over the past years, actually increased the numbers of processing capacity in Canada. We've increased the tools that the refugee boards have, the way that they can treat more cases, and we've actually added people to that. Canada remains a country that is not just welcome to immigrants and to refugees, but we need to continue to accept refugees and immigrants in this country as we see the shortage of workers for jobs that we have across the country. It leads to economic growth. It leads to more construction. It leads to more opportunities for Canadians. And Canadians remain one of the few countries in the world that is unequivocally in favor of immigration, and that is something that we have to protect, something that we have to support. So we are making those investments to make sure that everyone can continue to have support, have confidence in our immigration system. It's something we're continuing to work on.
En français aussi, s'il vous plaît.
Nous avons investi dans nos capacités de traiter les dossiers de réfugiés. Nous avons augmenté le personnel aussi et nous allons continuer de faire ce qui est nécessaire parce qu'on sait que le Canada a une énorme bonne fortune d'être un des pays au monde qui est accueillant pour les immigrants. Les Canadiens savent que les gens viennent et créent des emplois, créent des opportunités, créent de la croissance économique, enrichissent notre pays. Mais ça doit être fait de façon rigoureuse et organisée. Et c'est pour ça qu'on continue à investir pour s'assurer qu'on a la capacité de bien traiter ces dossiers rapidement.
Next question.
Hi, Prime Minister. Jessica Smith with the Canadian Press. Federal protocol says that there would be a public announcement from the Election Interference Task Force if they determined that an incident or an accumulation of incidents threatened Canada's ability to have a free and fair election. No such announcement was made, but now we're learning more details about those threats in bits and pieces. Why can't the task force share what they learned and why they came to this conclusion? And why should Canadians trust you when you say this interference didn't influence the outcome?
I think taking a step back, let's understand that this is an extraordinarily serious issue. The issue of the integrity of our elections, the integrity of our democracies, is something that all democracies around the world are struggling with right now because we are seeing systematic attempts at interference by countries like China and Russia and others who want to destabilize democracies, who want to undermine people's confidence in their institutions, who want to sow chaos in people's confidence in their democracies. So this is something that needs to be taken very seriously, as we have. Back in 2019, looking at what was happening around the world, this government took action and created an independent, non-partisan panel of top public servants informed directly by all the intelligence agencies working on this issue to be able to ensure and to reassure Canadians that the integrity of our elections held. This doesn't mean there hasn't been interference. Of course, we have talked openly for many, many years about the real threat of interference and attempts by interference that countries like China continually do within our democracies. And we have continually increased not just that tool, but other tools that our security agencies have to follow up on that. So Canadians can and should continue to have faith in their institutions around this. And they need to know that everyone is taking this seriously. What is not serious is putting a partisan spin on this, is playing political games to try and get partisan advantage out of undermining people's confidence in our institutions. It's not a partisan issue. This is an issue where foreign countries are trying to undermine people's confidence in our democracies and destabilize those democracies. And when we lean in on partisanship around this, We're actually helping them in doing their work of sowing confusion and mistrust. Canadians can and should have trust and confidence in their institutions, regardless of how they feel about whichever political party happens to be in power. And that is the serious work that all parliamentarians need to do together. And I'm very pleased that there's going to be a parliamentary committee leaning in further on this subject and talking to top experts so that all parliamentarians and all Canadians can see that this is an issue that we are taking very seriously and that everyone must take seriously.
Thank you. And one follow-up. Liberal MP Jennifer O'Connell called questions about these details Trump-style politics. Do you think questions Canadians have about this issue are illegitimate?
No, I think everyone should be worried about the fact that countries like China and Russia and others are continually trying to spread misinformation and disinformation, trying to interfere in our elections, unsuccessfully so far, according to the top public servant experts, according to our intelligence agency's official reports. But it is something that we should all be alert to. I think where we should be careful as responsible leaders and in dealing with this seriously is to not fall into some of the political partisan traps that are out there right now. It's not about one party versus another. The foreign governments and foreign actors are trying to undermine people's confidence in democracy itself and amplifying and giving partisan reasons to mistrust the outcome of an election, mistrust the experts at Elections Canada and in our security services and our top public servants who are saying that the election integrity held. That's something that we've seen from elsewhere is not a good path to go down for society or for democracy.
Hi, Prime Minister. Heather Wright, CTV News. You mentioned earlier that you wanted to see changes to the safe third country agreement. Can you give specifics into what you would like to see changed as part of this?
Those are conversations ongoing with the United States. We had a model during the pandemic that was reasonably effective. I think there are continually ongoing conversations about how we can ensure that it's not beneficial for people to try and cross the border at great personal expense, at great personal risk in some cases, to try and get into Canada if it doesn't actually end up in them being able to claim asylum status here. That's something that we're looking at in terms of spreading the protections that happen at border crossings around safe third country to happen between border crossings. But those are ongoing conversations with the Americans that are continuing to progress.
Last
And
question.
the Conservative leaders suggested yesterday that Roxham Road can be closed without renegotiating the safe third country agreement. Is that the case? Can it just be closed without that discussion with the United States?
Could somebody put up barricades and a big wall? Yes, if Pierre Poilievre wants to build a wall at Roxham Road, someone could do that. The problem is we have 6,000 kilometers worth of undefended shared border with the United States. And as we saw with tragedies at Emerson, as we've seen in challenges elsewhere across the country, people will choose to cross elsewhere. The only way to effectively shut down not just Roxham Road, but the entire border to these irregular crossings is to renegotiate the Safe Third Country Agreement, which is serious work that we are doing as a government right now. So people can toss out simplistic solutions. That's their right. But if someone wants to seriously solve the problem, you're going to have to roll up your sleeves and do the work as we are.
Thank you. That will conclude this
Merci beaucoup tout le monde.